Folks, there was some discussion about in the CD about polygraph, and I just want you to understand that there are no circumstances under which results of any polygraph examination can be admitted into evidence under any circumstances in the law of Wisconsin. Any question about that? So you needn't concern yourself about that in any way. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Jebois.
Thank you, Honor. Detective Ratzburg, yesterday we were talking about this item that's been, you described as Julie Jensen's log.
Yes.
That's Exhibit 231.
Yes.
I'll once again move this into evidence, Your Honor. I believe it has been discussed and was not moved in. And
Any further objection?
Nothing beyond what we discussed yesterday.
It will be received.
Can you make sure? Oh, it's on. It's on. I guess you don't have to do anything more. Now, I'm directing your attention to what is page 33, entitled Partial Review of Past. And can you tell the jury what this is?
That's Julie Jensen's log, and it appears to be a log of calls made to her house with starting at 1:19 of 92 at 3:10 p.m. and a hang-up call at home, and then it's ditto with different times and dates.
And then goes on the next page, and that's May 92 through December of 92.
Yes.
Series of hang-up calls. And then the top of page 35, recap continued, series of hang-up calls through 93. And then some other items down here, Christmas lights and front yard trash and so forth. Correct?
Yes.
Then 95 starts on page 36, 8/25/95, complaint made to Ron Kosman, suggested trace again. And then is the number for Ameritech, correct?
Yes.
And then September 6, 95 to September 27, 95, trace on, no calls to report, correct?
Yes.
And then October 25th, 8 p.m., hang-up call at home, correct?
Yes.
October 26th, 1995, hang-up call at home at 1:35.
Yes.
Okay, and then it says November 95 to 196, very active calling Mark's office and leaving, quote, photos, correct?
Yes.
Then November 15th to 12/195, trace on, correct?
Yes.
Now, then November 14th and November 15th, reported 10:30 a.m., correct?
Yes.
And then it says 11:20, reported 11:27 a.m., reported 11:21:95, correct?
Yes.
So there were some reports there. And then 12/20/95, it's clear that it looks like it says, called State of Illinois Securities. Connie Burris told me he was registered in Illinois and employed by A.G. Edwards since October of 94, correct?
Yes.
And then 12/19/95, quote, photos, unquote, left on truck at Ruther during David's Christmas program.
Yes.
And then on January 24th, 1996 and 12/10/91, house locks are changed.
Yes.
2/13/96, report number 96-01246 made to Ron Kosman, bag of, quote, evidence, unquote, turned over, correct?
Yes.
And then a variety of other things that she sees around the house, correct?
Yes.
And then May 7th, 1996, Tuesday, gray car Wisconsin license plate at Mark's office. Driver ducked down, followed Mark at noontime, correct?
Yes,
Then May 8th, 1996, about 5:15, call for Mark at his office but hung up,
yes,
correct?
yes,
And then May 10th, 1996, Detective Ratzburg, Star 69 service. Can you tell us what the caller ID, can you tell us what that was about?
if you could move it over just a little bit, please. Star 69 service, caller ID, subpoena, phone company has till 6/5. Tape on the phone with a phone number, Ameritech customer. According to that, I spoke with her on, I had several conversations with Julie Jensen, and I would assume that I suggested for her to get a caller ID service.
I didn't, assumption, did you say?
He said, I assume.
Oh, I see what you're saying. The objection is sustained.
Detective Ratzburg, I'd simply ask you to testify as to what you can recall, but don't assume anything, okay? Do you have any specific recollections, or does this writing refresh your recollection as to any conversations you may have had with Julie Jensen on around May 10th, 1996?
No,
And then it says May 13th, down here, May 13th, 1996, 9:05 a.m., a hang-up call at home.
yes,
May 16th, 4 p.m., hang-up call at home, correct?
yes,
May 23rd, Thursday, 8:30 p.m., hang-up call at home, correct?
yes,
And then on the top of page 38, 6396, Detective Ratzburg called with results of subpoena for trace of phone calls received April 19th, 1996, Friday, 10:01 p.m., calling Mark an asshole, quote, came from low-income apartment on west side of town. Women didn't know any of us, but said other people used her phone. Detective asked if we knew any of the following: Tina Thomas, Steve Daniels, Jenny Gunderson, or Frank Espinoza. Neither Mark or I know any of those names. Do you remember that conversation at all with Julie Jensen?
yes, I do.
Tell us about that.
I contacted Julie, asked her about the information as depicted in her log, and I went over to an address on the west side of town off Green Bay Road and spoke with the tenants there and inquired if they knew who the Jensens were, and I couldn't make any connection between the Jensens and these particular people.
Then June 4th, 1996, Tuesday, Mark got short, obscene call at office during morning, correct?
Yes,
And then June 4th, 96, out-of-area hang-up call at home at
Yes.
1:57 p.m. Same day at 3:43 p.m., out-of-area hang-up call at home, correct?
yes,
June 4th, 96, 8:49 p.m., quote, out-of-area, unquote, hang-up call at home.
yes,
Then June 4th, 96, more hang-up calls for Mark at his office.
yes,
Then goes on with that. And then on June 9th, 1996, about 2 p.m., which is a Sunday, David found videotape on front brick ledge of garage, appeared between Saturday and Sunday. Also over weekend, several hang-up calls at home that showed up as, quote, private, unquote, correct?
You need to move it up, please. Yes,
And then June 24th, Monday, various hang-up calls at Mark's office, AM hours, correct?
yes,
June 26, 1996, various calls at Mark's office, quote, soft, effeminate, male voice, referring to video, etc., correct?
yes,
June 27th, 96, photo left on Mark's truck at office, correct?
yes,
July 16th, in the top of page 39, July 16th, phone calls to Mark's office.
yes,
July 18th, photo appeared on Mark's truck at office between 1:30 and 3:30 p.m., correct?
yes,
July 19th, 96, photo left on Mark's truck at office between 12 p.m. and 5 p.m., correct?
yes,
July 30th, 1996, photo left on Mark's truck at office afternoon.
yes,
Another series of hang-up calls. Correct?
yes,
Go to the bottom, September 9th, 1996. Monday, pictures left on Mark's truck at the office,
yes,
correct? September 18th, 1996, pics left on Mark's truck at the office, correct?
Yes.
September 25th, pics left on Mark's truck at the office, correct?
Yes.
October 15th, 96, pics left on Mark's truck at the office, correct?
Yes.
October 15th to October 17th, 1996, Tuesday through Thursday, calls at Mark's office, taped messages, correct?
Yes.
October 18th, 1996, out-of-area hang-up call at home. Photos left at Mark's office on truck between September 20th and October 5th, correct?
Correct.
November 27th, 1996, pics left on Mark's truck at the office.
Correct.
December 4th, 1996, pics left on Mark's truck at the office.
Yes.
Again, December 11th, 1996.
Yes.
Again, December 12th, 1996.
Yes.
December 13th, 1996, phone calls to Mark's office, hang-ups and recordings received postcard at office, correct?
Yes.
December 24th, 1996, phone calls and recordings at Mark's office, correct?
Yes.
December 26th, 1996, phone calls to Mark's office and asked secretary if received postcard, correct?
Yes.
December 30th, 1996, numerous calls to Mark's office, correct?
Yes.
December 31st, 1996, numerous calls to Mark's office, correct?
Yes.
January 3rd, 1997, pics left on Mark's truck at the office, correct?
Yes.
January 6th, 1997, numerous calls to Mark's office, correct?
Yes.
January 7th, 1997, pics left on Mark's truck at the office, correct?
Yes.
January 26, 1997, Ted W., that'd be Ted Voigt, mentioned to Mark while at Super Bowl party that he's seen tracks around his garage and back in our shed leading through lot in back of us, and that his garage auto light had been going on, correct?
Yes.
January 24th, 1997, gave Ron K. the picture with printing on back, correct?
Yes.
January 29th, 1997, pics left on Mark's truck at office, correct?
Yes.
February 3rd and 4th, 97, Monday and Tuesday, calls to Mark's office, correct?
Yes.
December 14th, 1997, hang up and other phone calls to Mark's office, correct?
Correct.
February 16th, 1997, Mark noticed boat trailer logs had been moved, correct?
Yes.
February 22nd, 1997, Mark discovered condoms on upper garage shelves, toolbox, correct?
Yes.
February 20th, 1997, Mark noticed dents in garage service door as if tried to be forced open from outside, correct?
Yes.
February 18th, 1997, pics left on Mark's truck at office, correct?
Correct.
February 25th, 1997, pics left on Mark's truck at office found 12:15 p.m., correct?
Correct.
February 24th through the 28th, 1997, Monday through Friday, calls to Mark's office all week, correct?
Correct.
April 1st, 1997, hang-ups and calls to Mark's office, correct?
Correct.
April 4th, 1997, calls to Mark's office all week, pics left on new truck at office Friday afternoon, correct?
Correct.
April 7th to 11/97, calls to Mark's office, correct?
Correct.
April 14th, 1997, calls to Mark's office, correct?
Correct.
April 16th, 1997, phone calls to Mark's office and pics left on truck, correct?
Correct.
April 17th, 1997, phone calls to Mark's office, correct?
Correct.
April 25th to May 2nd, 1997, regular calls to Mark's office, correct?
Correct.
May 9th, 1997, found videotape in boat at home, correct?
Correct.
June 9th through the 13th, 1997, parent Monday through Friday, phone calls to Mark's office, correct?
Correct.
June 11th and June 13th, 1997, pics left on Mark's truck at office, correct?
Correct.
June 20th, 1997, phone calls to Mark's office, correct?
Correct.
June 27th, 1997, pics left on Mark's truck at office, correct?
Correct.
June 30th through July 3rd, 1997, Monday through Thursday, phone calls to Mark's office, correct?
Correct.
July 3rd, 1997, pics left on Mark's truck at office, correct?
Correct.
through 8/97, Monday through Friday, calls to Mark's office, correct?
Correct.
August 15th, 1997, pics left on Mark's truck at the office, correct?
Correct.
August 11th through the 15th, 1997, calls to Mark's office, correct?
Correct.
August 25th, 1997 through August 29th, parent Monday through Friday, parent calls to Mark's office, correct?
Correct.
September 2nd and 3rd, 1997, calls to Mark's office, pics left on truck at office 9/3, parent Wednesday, correct?
Correct.
9/5/97, calls to Mark's office to watch for another video, woman's voice, pics left on truck at office, correct?
Correct.
Now, Detective Ratzburg, at any time during this log, did you ever receive any confirmation from anybody at Mark's office, aside from Mark Jensen, that any of this stuff was taking place?
Objection. He made no effort to confirm.
Well, that's for cross-examination. The objection's overruled.
Well, I think it's almost, well,
Well, I do think there is, I'm not myself so enthusiastic about the form of the question.
I'll withdraw the question, Your Honor. We'll just move on.
What are the pacemakers?
Thank you. August 11th through August 15th, 97, Monday through Friday, calls to Mark's office, correct?
Correct.
September 2nd and 3rd, calls to Mark's office, pics left on truck, correct?
Correct.
September 10th, 1997, pics left on Mark's truck at office, correct?
Correct.
September 16th, 1997, pics left on Mark's truck at office, correct?
Correct.
September 22nd, Monday, phone calls to Mark's office, parent woman's voice, correct?
Correct.
September 22nd through the 26th, Monday through Friday, phone calls to Mark's office all week, correct?
Correct.
September 29th, 1997, Monday, phone calls to Mark's office, correct?
Correct.
September 30th, 1997, Tuesday, pics left on Mark's truck at the office, correct?
Correct.
September 29th through October 2nd, 1997, calls to Mark's office, correct?
Correct.
October 16th, 1997, pics left on Mark's truck at the office, correct?
Correct.
October 22nd, 1997, pics left on Mark's truck at the office, correct?
Correct.
October 23rd, 1997, pics left on Mark's truck at the office, correct?
Correct.
October 22nd and 23rd, Wednesday and Thursday, calls to Mark's office, correct?
Correct.
November 6th, 1997, phone calls to Mark's office, correct?
Correct.
November 12th, 1997, several hang-up calls to Mark's office all day, correct?
Correct.
November 13th, 1997, calls to Mark's office and pics left on truck, correct?
Correct.
Oh, by the way, Ms. Jensen had in November of 1995 been instructed by Ameritech that she was to log the date and the exact time of each call, correct?
Correct.
And that's consistent with your understanding of what is expected of somebody who's making such complaints to the phone company?
Yes.
So then we go to December 9th, 1997, Tuesday, various calls to Mark's office during day. See You, See Me, Windows reference, correct?
Correct.
December 18th, 1997, phone calls to Mark's office, correct?
Correct.
January 19th, 1998, New Tactics, live on internet, calls to Mark's office asking if he's watching it and when to tune in, correct?
Correct.
February 12th, 1998, Thursday, continuing above all day, saying to watch tonight, correct?
Correct.
February 24th, 1998, calls to Mark's office telling us to watch the next few nights, correct?
Correct.
March 2nd through the 6th, calls to Mark's office to watch the something at night, correct?
Correct.
March 24th, 1998, out of area hang-up call at home, continuing calls to Mark's office, correct?
Correct.
June 4th, 1998, 2 videotapes left on Mark's truck at the office, correct?
Correct.
June 19th, 1998, definitely found Mark's new office and phone number, ranted and raved, swore at receptionist, several hang-ups at office after that, correct?
Correct.
June 26th, 1998, calls to Mark's office to watch for another videotape, correct?
Correct.
July 7th, 1998, 2 calls to Mark's office about video coming with measurements, correct?
Correct.
July 9th, 1988, calls to Mark's office asking for office and broker's number info, correct?
Correct.
And then there's that log I was just reading through. It started on page 33, but then on page 31, 3/21/96, pictures left on Mark's truck at the office, correct?
Correct.
And then she's talking about something that occurred on Friday at home. April 2nd, 96, she's calling A.G. Edwards in Chicago. Again, apparently she's checking on the whereabouts of Perry Tarica, correct?
Correct.
On April 2nd, 96, she was told he works in Tyrone, North Carolina, correct?
Correct.
And here she, on April 2nd, 96, she's talking to Police Detective Paula Mickelson, who advises her, 1, to talk to a detective, 2, keep a journal of everything that happens, and 3, for further support, contact Lynn Copen.
Correct.
And then April 2nd, 96, it appears as though she's talked to some guy at Rhodey's Camera, correct?
Correct.
And then April 2nd, she indicates Mark called Dave DeWar, correct?
Just need a little adjustment, please.
Can you read it?
Yes.
April 5th, 96, Detective Ratzburg came to a house to see layout, suggest running video camera on tripod out David's bedroom window, aimed at driveway, have to do something because it won't stop on its own if it hasn't in 5 years, correct?
Correct.
April 17th, 1996, pictures left on Mark's truck at the office, correct?
Correct.
April 18th, 96, Detective Ratzburg called North Carolina and talked to Perry himself and his supervisor, gave me name Dave Ellis of ESI as private surveillance detective, correct?
Correct.
April 19th, 1996, 10:03 p.m., phone rang 3 times. Mark answered. Male voice asked for Mark Jensen, called him an asshole. Mark answered, you've got the wrong number, and hung up, correct?
Correct.
Then it says go to page 4. And page 4 will be up here apparently. Where was this log found?
This was located in the master bedroom of the Jensen home in a desk type of piece of furniture.
And there are numerous communications from Meritech in here, correct?
Yes.
One from January of 96, another one from September of 95.
These aren't evidence of their publication at this time. What's their evidence?
Well, not being offered for the truth of the matter asserted, Your Honor.
Well, just hold on a second. May I see the documents in
We
question?
get them off the screen until they're evidence? That's the rule. I'm not even saying I'm objecting.
It's just let me look at the papers, all right? Let's take a break. Please don't talk about the case during the break.
Please, all rise.
All right, what's up?
Well, Your Honor, there's a number of writings inside that I was going to get you. The purpose of going through the Meritech letters was merely to establish that they weren't in regular contact with Meritech, that Julie was doing everything law enforcement told her to do. Not so much beyond that, but then there are some additional, there's some writings of Julie, and here, you're just turning past them, so let me get to the point that I wanted to get to here. And counsel, you may want to come up here just so you can see what it is. I'll show it to you before I show it to the court. I wasn't going to go into your high school teacher, Judge. I really wasn't going to spend any more time on the Meritech stuff either, but right here. There is writing on here from these two documents, and it's reads, why does Private Detective 1 ask about fingerprinting the quote
I
photos?
don't object to the admission of these notes.
You do not?
Nope.
Okay. Is that true of any, show them all the ones you want to put in, and then let's make sure that there aren't any further objections, and then we'll bring the jury back in.
Okay, let's see if there's anything else.
All I had really done was ask that things not be published until they're admitted into evidence. At this stage, that was all I had done. But
I guess
agree
I
that
was.
there's probably.
I guess I was so used to there being objections.
Well, there may be,
I
but-
assumed too much.
And did I go as far as 1998? Was I?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Can I ask CNN to come up for a minute? All right, go ahead, Mr. Jim Boyce.
Thank you. And Detective Ratzburg, did you find this note in Julie Jensen's tape planner? Or daily log, I should say?
Yes, that would be correct in her log.
Let's see if you, I don't know if you can read that. And do you know or who wrote these or not?
I do not.
But they were found in Julie's log?
Yes.
And it reads, why does Private Detective 1 ask about fingerprinting the quote photos unquote ever done? 2, Julie have to call phone company and try to get their cooperation to check his phone records to see if our numbers show up.
Correct.
Check Mark's work/car phones records dash he's calling his own office question mark home question mark.
Correct.
Mark's computers do not have photo generating capacity.
Correct.
We have no criminal record of suing others, not paying taxes.
Correct.
He lied to Mark Hunter 5 years ago about being in contact with me until he got caught sending letter. He didn't address the ticket then and still has outstanding warrant, correct?
Correct.
He has messy, underlined, nasty, underlined divorce with custody battle for daughter. Perhaps he is gay and needed new wife to look legitimate, correct? Just because he's in NC doesn't mean he's not doing this or doesn't have someone helping him, correct?
Correct.
Mark's heard his soft, effeminate voice, correct?
Correct.
Why do we have to wait, underline the word wait, to be victims of something worse, correct?
Correct.
Why does one phone call satisfy you? He could have easily been tipped off by our inquiry to his whereabouts, correct?
We need that bottom part. Yes.
Exhibit 255. If he's smart enough and sick enough to do this for 5 years and avoid detection or making blatant error, why isn't it conceivable he could have anticipated and waited for your phone calls and had prepared excuses / answers / alibis, correct?
Correct.
Check his visitation schedule somehow, question mark, correct?
Correct.
Now, you don't know who wrote those, correct?
Correct.
But had you, or to your knowledge, Officer Cosman, ever confronted Julie Jensen about your suspicions that Mark Jensen was the person leaving these items around the house?
Yes.
And had you or Ron Cosman, to your knowledge, ever indicated to Julie that you believe that Mark Jensen was doing this?
I object to the extent it's Ron Cosman. If this witness has knowledge, fine.
Well, okay, well, let's start with you. Did you ever advise Julie that you suspected that it was Mark Jensen leaving these items around the house?
No.
Had you and Officer Cosman discussed this?
Yes.
And had you and Officer Cosman discussed your suspicions about who was leaving these items around the
I
house?
object to Officer Cosman's hearsay.
Sustained.
Well, had you ever explained to Officer Cosman your concerns about or your suspicions that Mark Jensen was leaving these items around the house?
Yes.
What were the factors that caused you to come to the strong suspicion or this any level of suspicion that it was Mark Jensen that was doing these things?
Object to this witness's opinion.
Sustained.
I didn't ask him his opinion. I asked him what was the basis for that opinion.
Well, but it incorporates the opinion. Well, it's actually not being able to prove the truth of the...
Then it doesn't have relevance in 90403.
Overruled.
So tell us, what were the factors that influenced your suspicions concerning who was leaving these photos and making these hang-up phone calls?
Well, we both investigated the matters and how somebody could get away with doing that for so long. Together with Officer Cosman, made arrangements to put phone traps on for at least twice that I recall. And there were no phone calls made in between there.
Now, when you were going through the residence on the evening of December 3rd, 1998, did you fish anything out of the garbage or the trash can in the den where the computer was located?
I did.
Where's the items that you fished out of that trash can?
That would be item States Exhibit 244.
And these were items were found in the garbage in that location?
Yes.
Because you cut that open? I request States Exhibit 244 be received into evidence subject to cross-examination.
I would need to see it.
I'll show it to you. Here, don't open it up. Just
This is just what he put it in. That's not what was found. That's just the container. It's just the two.
It's just these two notes. Yeah. Do you have any objection to being
No.
used? Do you have any objection to being published as your?
No.
Okay. Your Honor, I move Exhibit 244 now. It's the subject cross-examination. Request that it be permitted to publish it to the jury.
Any objection?
No, Judge.
Go ahead.
So you found these two notes in the garbage. Look this way, Detective. Look over toward me, right here.
Yes,
These are two notes you found in the garbage?
yes, sir.
Okay, now turn around, look at the screen behind you. This was some calculation. You didn't know what this is about.
I do not.
BT up here, and then 169 looks like plus 251. So it looks like it might be something close to 240, 420, I mean. 655, I don't really know what that is. But anyway, 50/D, you don't know anything about what that's about, do you?
I do not.
Then here, the second page, no, it says call Scott Schur,
Sure.
SCHOOR.
It could be OAR.
Okay. Note to school
Yes,
and call school, correct?
yes,
And there's no date on this.
there is not.
And where were these notes found at the residence?
In the garbage in the den of the Jensen home.
And then directing your attention to Exhibit 239, can you tell us what that is?
This is Julie Jensen's calendar.
Could you please open that up? It's already open? Let me show it to defense counsel before we go further. I am going to be requesting Exhibit 239 to be received into the subject to cross-examination counsel.
Any objection?
That's what I'm showing it to him so that he can decide who's got an objection.
What about all the comments?
Well, we really wanted to go to this. That's what I wanted to get to, was this stuff here. I don't know, if I want to I'll bring it to you before I do.
We'll just do the notes separately.
Yeah.
All right. Judge, I don't have any, what is it, 239?
239, yes,
I
right.
don't object to 239. There's some notes that we've agreed that we would take up individually if either one of us wants to get into those. But 239 is a calendar, and I don't object to that.
We call it the pocket day timer.
Sure.
Okay.
All right, I'll admit it, and I'll wait to hear from you further on any other issue.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Right. We don't. It sounds like neither one of us knows if we're getting into anything that's loose in the daytime.
But we know we're going to get into this. So what's this right here? It's contained within Exhibit 239.
This is a pocket day planner, 2-page per week format, 12-month book, 1998.
And this was found inside this item here, this leather daily calendar,
Yes,
and with the initials JCJ.
yes,
And you believe this to be Julie Jensen's.
yes.
Okay, now I'm going to take this away from you, and I'm going to go over here. So. Now, I'm showing you pages from this is Julie Jensen's Pocket the Day Timer,
Yes,
correct? 12-month book, 1998.
yes,
2-page per week format, correct?
yes.
So let's start here with late September, early October. It's Monday, September 28th through Thursday, October Actually, Sunday, October 4th, correct? Sunday, October 4th.
Yes.
And here,
I'm sorry?
up here, it says Mark to Appleton
Yes.
for October 1st.
Yes.
And then it says here Mark Fishing or Appleton, October 2nd, correct?
Actually, Mark Fishing's crossed out and then Appleton for October 2nd, 1998, a Friday.
Then the next page, it starts Monday, October 5th, then proceeds down to Sunday, October 11th, correct?
Correct.
And just a variety of entries here. David's fundraiser, due, understanding wildlife assembly, suits ready, just the normal things you might expect to find, correct?
Correct. I noticed Mrs. DeFazio's name there on October 7th.
Sure enough, Mrs. DeFazio. It says Kids Castle and then Mrs. DeFazio. And then various, it says, there's a big heart here for October 8th. Do you know what that's about?
Yes, I believe I do.
Okay, if you know what it's about, tell me.
I think that has something to do with their animals for heartworm.
Oh, okay. Then down here under Kids Castle on October 9th, Friday, 10 to 11, it says mammogram, 10:40, correct?
Yes.
And down here, Tim and Paige's wedding, exclamation point. Evan's birthday, 11 a.m., correct?
Correct.
And then here, it says bake for Mrs. DeFazio's birthday, Tuesday the 13th, and David's Pix Day, an exclamation point, correct?
Correct.
Down here, it says Little Bears, 9:30, Kids Castle to Museum.
Yes.
Chaperone, pick up, correct?
Yes. Actually, I think it's Piccadilly. Okay.
And then it says here, stop at K Hospital to read TB test,
Yes.
and then early release, exclamation point.
Yes.
And then up here, Julie, or 8:50, Jewel to Dr. Jeff, there.
Yes.
Then French Club and piano.
Yes.
Packers, the Packers must have played Thursday night on October 15th, huh?
And they probably won.
Sure they did. Then down here, Sunday, David has homework.
Yes.
Up here, Little Bears, Kids Castle, David's class pledge leaders, right?
Yes.
And then down here, Mark, Chicago, on Wednesday, correct?
Yeah, I didn't hear you. October 21st has Mark Chicago underlined.
And then pick up David, KY, pick up David, correct?
Correct.
Then up here, Thursday, October 22nd, Mark, Chicago, it looks like up here, right?
Yes, that is correct.
French Club. And October 23rd, Mark, Chicago.
Yes.
Down here, October 25th, Trick or Treat, Sunday. Packers, 5, it says parent 5 to parent. Correct?
Correct.
And here, Friday, October 30th, no school, teachers convention, and PAC, exclamation point.
Correct.
And then down here, November 1st, Sunday, November 1st, Packers, exclamation point.
And there's
Correct.
also above that is Paul Sharon.
Call Sharon. Do you know what that's about?
I know at some point in November, Sharon Earing and Julie Jensen got together for lunch.
Then here it says November 3rd, Tuesday, parent election day.
Yes,
David, dress nicely, Kenosha Historical Tour, 1 to 2 p.m., correct?
yes,
And then down here on the 4th, Little Bears at Kids Castle, correct?
that is correct.
Detective Beckman / safety issues, correct?
Yes,
Iron early release, KYF Drake, correct?
yes,
And then up here, November 5th, continuing education, St. Louis, 9:30 to 10:48, TWA, Marriott, St. Louis, 314-878-2747, correct?
yes, that's for November 5th.
Down here, they got the heart thing again, huh?
Yes,
You think that's for heartworm medication?
I believe in going through that, yes,
Here, November 9th, Joe's Carpet Cleaning, 2 p.m., correct?
that is correct.
And then Packers, exclamation point.
Yes,
Tuesday, November 10th, Clean House, Bake Brownies, Book Club, exclamation point, right?
yes,
Oh, and over here, Mark goes to Dr. Jeff for cleaning, probably a dental appointment, huh?
yes,
And here, Thursday, November 12th, Lunch with Sharon, exclamation point.
yes,
French Club, $42.
yes,
Piano / pumpkins to compost, correct?
that is correct.
Down here is Friday, November 13th, Mark to St. Louis,
Correct.
Kids Castle,
Yes,
Pick Up David.
yes,
Looks like Lunch with Angie was crossed off, right?
yes, it does.
November 14th, Matthew's birthday, bowling party,
Yes,
3:15 to 5:30 Sheridan Lane. Correct?
Yes.
Down here, Linda's open house, exclamation point, 1 to 4, correct?
it's Linda Hanson's open house, yes.
Linda,
1 to 4.
Linda Hanson's open house, okay. Heather's party, 1 to 5.
Yes,
And then Packers, exclamation point.
yes,
Tuesday, November 17th, Kramer / SV,
yes,
Iron, exclamation point.
yes,
Noon, Lunch with David, correct?
correct,
French Club, 3 to 4.
yes,
Wednesday, November 18th, Conferences and Book Fair, correct?
yes,
Early dismissal, 11:15.
yes,
David and Doug to Dr. Jeff.
yes,
Conference at 5:15 p.m.
correct,
And then up here, November 19th, Conferences, early dismissal, 11:15.
yes,
No French Club.
yes,
Down here, Friday, November 20th, Conferences, early dismissal, 11:15, correct?
yes,
And then Bradford, 8:45 a.m.
yes,
Of course, down here, Sunday, November 22nd, Packers, exclamation point.
yes,
Up here in the upper, Monday, November 23rd, Sandy Bachman,
yes,
David's Contract / Andy's V,
yes,
video game.
yes,
Call Dr. Borman's office.
yes,
Call Dr. Jeff's office.
yes,
Southport School Team Spirit Day.
yes,
Little Bears Kids Castle. Thanksgiving Feast. Make pies! Exclamation point. Drake / KYF. Thaw rolls. Correct?
correct,
No schools. Bring black chest. Thursday, November 26th, correct?
I think you gotta move it over.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There we go. Yes,
No schools, correct?
correct.
Angie's B-Day, exclamation point, correct?
Yes,
10:50, Dr. Glazer, Rachel's birthday, 1. Packers, exclamation point, Sunday, November 29th.
yes,
For Monday, November 30th, Little Bears, KC,
yes,
10:45, Dr. Colin David is crossed off, correct?
it is.
Underneath that, Drake / KYF.
Yes,
7 p.m., Rudolph, CBS.
yes,
December 1st, 9:45, Dr. Borman,
yes,
correct? December 2nd, David, extra early release, 11:15, correct?
correct.
Little Bears, KC,
Yes,
correct? Drake, KYF,
yes,
7 p.m., Charlie Brown, CBS.
yes,
December 3rd, Ryan Walters, 3, correct? Sorry.
yes,
French Club, piano, $44, correct? December 4th, Kids Castle, dollars.
yes,
12:30, Dr. Mercier,
yes,
for December 4th. And then here it says sugar cookies and it's pushed down to December 5th, correct?
it is.
Christmas party, 3:30, bring cookies.
Yes,
December 6th, karate tournament, correct?
yes,
And underneath that it says Beauty and the Beast on ABC, 6 p.m., Annabelle's Wish on Fox.
yes,
December 7th, Monday. Here it says Dad 74, correct?
yes,
Little Bears KC, correct?
yes,
Drake KYF.
yes,
December 7th, Book Club, bring chocolate chips and small candy canes.
yes,
Packers, exclamation point.
yes,
And here's another heart on December 8th for the dog's heartworm medication.
yes,
It says Joey A3, correct?
yes,
Wednesday, December 9th, Little Bears KC, correct?
yes,
Drake / KYF, correct?
that is correct.
Here, Thursday, December 10th, French Club and Piano, right?
Yes.
Kids Castle,
December-
12:30, Joey's birthday on December 11th.
Yes,
And underneath that, and starred Stifle Nicholas Christmas Party, Hobnob or Casa Capri.
I believe it just says Stiefel, Christmas
I
party.
said Stifle Christmas Party, and then underneath that it says Hobnob or Casa Capri, correct?
Correct.
These people are from Kenosha. You know what the Hobnob and Casa Capri are?
There are two restaurants in the Kenosha area.
And here, December 13th, Sunday, Packers, exclamation point, right?
Yes,
Monday, December 14th, Little Bears, KC,
yes,
Drake, KYF, register, right?
yes,
Tuesday, December 15th, 9 to 11:30, Peppermint Bear at Parkside, or Peppermint Beat, I can't see what that is, at Parkside, correct?
correct.
9 to 11:30. And underneath that it says French Club.
Yes,
Wednesday, December 16th, Little Bears, KC,
yes,
Drake, KYF.
yes,
Piano, Thursday the 17th, 4, correct?
yes,
Kids Castle,
yes,
December 18th, Friday. Stiefel Christmas Party in St. Louis, correct?
yes,
December 20th, Packers, exclamation point.
yes,
Monday, December 21st, Little Bears at Kids Castle, come for lunch.
Yes.
Tuesday, December 22nd, last day of school, exclamation point.
Yes.
Down here, no Kids Castle class till 1/4/99. That's written on Wednesday, December 23rd, correct?
Yes, it is.
Yours says Christmas Day, circled, exclamation point in red.
Yes.
Holiday, correct?
Correct.
Packers, exclamation point, December 27th, 1998, correct?
Correct.
Down here, January 3rd, Sunday, back to schools, Monday, 1/4/99. KYF class starts 1/6/99, correct?
Correct.
Notes and memos. No school Monday, 1/25/99. No school Friday, 2/26/99, correct?
Yes.
Spring recess, Friday, 4/2 slash, it looks like SM 4/11, correct?
Correct.
Back to school Monday, 4/12/99.
Correct.
No school Monday, 5/31/99.
Correct.
Last day of school Thursday, 6/10/99.
Correct.
Notes and memos, correct?
Yes.
Office holidays, correct? Or
Yes.
officially, it's OFC holidays. New Year's, parent January 1st, correct?
Correct.
Martin Luther King Jr., parent January, correct?
Correct.
President's Day, question mark, correct?
Correct.
Memorial, correct?
Yes.
July 4th, correct?
Correct.
Labor, correct?
Yes.
Question mark. Is that what that
Yes.
looks like? And then Thanksgiving slash Christmas, correct?
Yes.
Half day Good Friday, correct?
Yes.
Kim and Dan do February, correct?
Correct.
Early release 1/13 and 3/17/99, correct?
Correct.
So there were an awful lot of notations in this calendar for events that are occurring after December 3rd, 1999.
December 3rd, 1998.
I'm sorry, December 3rd, 1998, correct?
Yes, there are.
Like maybe somebody had plans?
Yep.
I object to the leading.
Restate your question.
I'll withdraw the question. Do you have the letter that Julie Jensen wrote to you? It's over here. Well, you've identified State's Exhibit 230 as the letter that you recovered from Ted Voigt,
Yes.
a letter from Julie Jensen to you.
Yes.
And you confronted the defendant concerning this letter at the time that you interviewed him?
Yes.
Will you be able to see it if I have it here, counsel?
It's fine. I'm sorry about maybe about.
Is that better?
Yeah, please, thanks.
You displayed that letter. At the time that you interviewed Mark Jensen in April of 1999, had you ever shown that letter before?
No.
So he was unaware of that letter at the time that you first showed it to him?
Yes.
Did he ever explain to you why his wife would think he'd be her first suspect if anything ever happened to her?
I objected. Didn't see any questions during the portion of that interview we watched.
Well, you asked him to explain that letter, didn't you?
What's that?
He asked him to explain that letter, the contents of that letter.
Well, here's the bottom line. Well, I guess I don't want to say it that way. The question inquires if a certain event occurred, and the witness can answer if it did or didn't. So the objection's overruled.
You left that letter in front of him, and you left the room for several minutes, correct?
Correct.
Was he ever able to explain to you why his wife would think that he would be her first suspect if anything ever happened to her?
Object to the form of the question.
Well, you asked him to explain the letter, didn't you?
Yes.
Did he, when he explained the letter to you, did he explain, but if anything happens to me, you'll be my first suspect? Did he ever explain to you why his wife thought that?
No.
Did he ever explain her statement, I am suspicious of Mark's suspicious behaviors and fear for my early demise. However, I will not leave David and Douglas, my life's greatest love, accomplishments, and wish, my 3Ds, Daddy, Mark, David, and Douglas. Did he ever explain that to you?
Judge, two problems. The first, as I indicated, he wasn't asked that to explain that particular passage, and second, would be calling for speculation anyway.
Well, if it were speculation attributed to the accused, it would be admissible, but the first question, your objection is legitimate, and you'll need to rephrase your question.
I'll go on to another question. When you went through the residence that evening and you went through the garage, correct?
Correct.
Did you see Julie's motor vehicle?
Yes.
Did you see the license plate on Julie's motor vehicle?
Yes.
What was the license plate number on Julie's motor vehicle?
My 3Ds.
When you looked at the license plate number and it said my 3Ds, did you know what it meant?
I did not.
But you read a letter now?
Yes.
And now you know what my 3Ds means?
Yes.
Daddy, David, and Douglas.
Yes.
That's what Julie Jensen lived for, according to Julie Jensen.
I object to the legal.
According to Julie Jensen, what did Julie Jensen live for?
Her 3Ds, as she indicates in her letter.
At some point, you discovered some notes that apparently were written by Mark Jensen, and it pertained to a variety of persons, a variety of men, correct?
Correct.
Where did you find those notes?
Those were recovered in 2004 at his office.
Tell us how that came about.
I believe either you or one of the other prosecutors spoke with one of the employees at Stiefel, Nicholas, and Racine and made mention that there were some papers left behind when Mr. Jensen left. And they thought that they were curiously maybe of value to the investigation. And come to think of it, it was Susan Karaskevich. And she obtained a search warrant, and I went up there and recovered them.
Now, you arrested Mark Jensen at what time?
In March of 2002.
And had he been employed at that office after March of 2002?
Not that I'm aware of.
And you recovered these items at what time?
In June of '04.
The actual notes. I don't know number is
Those are labeled.
Do you know what the exhibit numbers are?
Oh, they're,
165 and 166, I think, notes. Those should be the notes. Got all the notes there. 149.
Is it 166? This one. So directing your attention to Exhibit 146.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chambliss.
I'm sorry, I'll show them to you.
Yeah,
I'll show them to you.
just want to make sure I have them straight in my mind, which is which.
146A is a duplicate. I just looked. So I want you to, we'll go through exhibit, here's 146, 149,
yes,
a 150,
yes,
150 has writing on both sides,
correct,
151,
yes,
152,
yes,
153,
yes,
154,
yes,
155,
yes,
156,
yes,
157,
yes,
and 157 written on both sides. Correct?
yes,
158,
yes,
159,
yes,
and then we go to 160. I'm sorry, 166. It's D166.
yes,
And there's, looking at these pages, and they're bait stamps. So it's 234, 235, bait stamp 236.
yes, and respect,
Yes, I know, and bait stamp 237,
yes,
238, correct?
yes,
Bait stamp 239,
yes,
bait stamp 240,
yes,
241,
yes,
242,
yes,
bait stamp 243,
yes,
244,
yes,
240, 245,
Yes.
page stamp 246,
Yes.
page stamp 247,
Yes.
page stamp 248,
Yes.
page stamp 249,
Yes.
page stamp 250,
Yes.
page stamp 251,
Yes.
252,
Yes.
253,
Yes.
254,
Yes.
255,
Yes.
256,
Yes.
257,
Yep. Yes.
258,
Yes.
$259,
Yes.
$260,
Yes.
$261,
Yes.
$262,
Yes.
$263,
Yes.
page stamp 264.
Yes.
In any event, where did you recover these items?
These were recovered from the office in Racine of Stiefel Nicholas in June 3rd, 2004.
Now, directing your attention to what's stamped 235, correct?
Correct.
And Stiefel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, correct?
Correct.
And it's got the name Kelly Arlabonte printed at the top.
Yes, it does.
And then, what does this appear to be? A series of pictures of?
Judge, I object to the use of these documents.
I'll show you, Judge, so that you can see what we're talking about.
No, don't be that way. Please don't talk about the
Please all rise.
I now realize that it was probably my lack of proficiency that was causing the problem. Why don't you,
I'll make my record.
okay.
Your Honor, what I intend to do with this witness now is interview this witness in some measure of detail regarding the aspects of these notes.
Why don't you identify what they are?
This is Exhibit 166.
Go ahead.
And this, what I'm going to do is go through here and point out all of the areas where the defendant is taking notes and drawing photos, or drawing pictures about penises. And my purpose in doing so is that there has been testimony on the record in this area of all these pictures that were being left around, it seems predominantly at the defendant's place of work. And then he'd bring them home and show them to Julie, and it's the state's theory of the case that it was the defendant was doing this in order to emotionally torture his wife for years and years and years after this brief affair that she'd had. He initially denied that he made any writings on these notes or on these photographs. He ultimately admitted in this interview that we just watched that he did do some writing on the notes. We know from Officer Cosman that the writing on one of the photographs was, "Am I as big as his?" or "Is his as big as mine?" And this is a photograph. These were photographs of penises and women's faces in the vicinity of the penises. So the note that was written on there is his as big as mine. There's only one person in this proceeding who is it's evident, it's apparent that he's got a significant preoccupation. The court has described it as a fetish regarding penises, comparing his own to others. And if you go through these notes, there's one reference after another. There's here on stamped page 235, there's apparent pictures of vaginas, but then 3 of penis heads. 1 is written 2, T-O-O, mushroom shaped. Then in another location it's written, I'm longer, larger head, greater length, shaped for ease in entry versus blunt. Then down below that, different shape than all the others, but greatly, not greatly, but different, grouped the other guys together.
Just a second. Would you tell the jury it will be more than 5 minutes?
Then on the back of bait stamp page 235, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 penis pictures. One entitled Nice Curve, Me, slender, nicely curved at end versus pointy. Then underneath that, there's a bunch of pictures and it says them. And the notation's more pointy, more bigger, more straight up and down. Other guys have knob at the end. It's like it gets stuck in your hand or your mouth, parent points. And then 2 more penises at the bottom, one with more of a pointy head and one with a more rounded head. Then on bait stamp 236, 4 more pictures of penises. One is circled and it has the notation me. Thinner through here, pointing to the middle part of the penis. Then another picture with another penis, another picture of a penis, no notations on that. Then another picture of a penis, and it's designated points, and there's arrows around it. Then another penis drawing, no notations on that. Then a series of notes. The writing, I looked average at Hodo, was kind of pulled back, usually bigger than that. Then my balls are bigger than Greenman's. Harry, his always smaller at first. Balls come in all different sizes. Mine are big. Then underneath that, I'm a little bigger dick-wise. It just goes on and on and on and on about penis, a total preoccupation with penises. And in view of the description of these photos that are being left around the residence by Officer Kosman, in view of the statement that Officer Kosman made regarding the notation that was on one of the photos, is mine as big as his. It was a photo of a penis. And then also in view of Kelly Jensen's statement that she doesn't remember when this conversation occurred, I think all of this stuff would clearly indicate that it's, well, she may have at one point forgotten how many conversations she had about this. It's inconceivable that she didn't know when this conversation initially occurred.
Well, one thing in conjunction with that is, and maybe I missed this, I don't think so, but was there ever evidence that she actually saw the preparation of these notes, or did she merely acknowledge that she had imparted the information to the accused? The reason I'm asking is I don't know whether this information exchange, first of all, was a single event. More importantly, however, whether it was over the telephone or in person, which would relate to the extent of her memory ability to recall it. Because, well, why don't you answer my question first, and then I'll comment further if it's necessary.
Your Honor, the reason that we believe there's evidence that this occurred in 1998 derives...
Well, the question was whether or not she was physically with the accused when the notes were made, or whether this is something that could have occurred over the phone. Because that makes it more memorable. I mean, as I said, I think at the time that I ruled on it, that it's really weird for someone to do something, to be prying into this kind of information and the depth of the discussion, for sure. And I think I commented at the time that what makes it even weirder is that someone would make notes about it. So we don't, I guess the unknown to me is whether or not she was aware that he was making notes, and that relates directly to whether, not whether, because I've already decided that issue for purposes of the admission of the evidence, but how likely it is that she would recall the conversation.
I don't recall asking her if she was present for any of these conversations. She did testify that she had some of these conversations, at least some of these conversations over the telephone. I would say that by looking at this, I don't know that you can tell that, although the first page, the one that's Bates stamp page 234, at the top it says Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, Mark D. Jensen, Senior Vice President Investments, Branch Manager. Then the very next page, which is 235, it says Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, Kelly Labonte Retail Group, 500 North Broadway, St. Louis, Missouri. So it looks like it's on two different letterheads. Then Bates stamp 235 is also Kelly Labonte Retail Group. Bates stamp 237 is Mark Jensen.
Yeah, the answer to the question is you don't know whether, the evidence doesn't suggest whether it was in, well, let me start over. The evidence doesn't tell us with any degree of certitude as to whether it was a personal conversation, well, it was obviously very personal, whether it was a face-to-face conversation or one over the telephone.
I wouldn't know that. I don't see what difference that makes.
It makes a difference. Well, you know, I would, as I said before, I think it would be very weird if someone were sitting there and to have this kind of information being asked. That's really weird, no question about it. But the idea that someone else would not just be sitting there and getting some kind of weird enjoyment out of it, but would actually be recording it makes it even weirder. And the reason I ask is because it's already in the record that the jury's heard it, and that bears on whether to what extent I want it further displayed on the record. That's number one.
Well, Your Honor, here's what I wanted to do. And first of all, in terms of when the conversation occurred, I'd direct the court's attention to Bates stamp page 240. Jock manages meeting, St. Louis, fall 98. He went to a room with her, and there's the description there. And the court will see, the court has seen, that when we were going through the internet history in this case, this occurred, I thought it was in October of 1998, where there's clear reference that there's first of all, they're going to the Stifel Nicholas intranet, and I think they looked up the word Kelly and whoever the user was. And let's remember, at that point, this is right after Kelly had been married. So even somebody who knew her very well, somebody who was having sex with her on a regular basis, might wonder whether she was going with the name of Kelly Greeman or Kelly Labonte. And maybe that's a reason to look up the name Kelly in October of 1998 in the Stifel Nicholas book. But then the next name after that is John Jock Joseph. And then they go into looking up ways to murder somebody, botulism, etc.
This is new.
I know it's not new, but it also indicates that the conversation occurred in 1998. Now, the purpose of going into this right now, Judge, is to establish the defendant's strange fascination with penis sizes. And that's relevant to establish that it was the defendant and nobody else who was leaving all those photos around the house. Actually, not around the house, on his truck, repeatedly, again and again and again. The photos were on his truck at work.
I understand.
So we know that. The only person that knows that is Mark Jensen.
I agree with you. It's a question of whether the prejudicial impact substantially outweighs the probative value, given the wealth of evidence which already exists in the case.
The unfair, actually, the unfair prejudicial effect is substantially outweighed by the probative value. That's what the standard is. So the unfair prejudicial effect must substantially outweigh its probative value before it's kept out. Not its prejudicial effect, its unfair prejudicial effect. Now, it would be unfair of the state to be eliciting this testimony merely to show that this defendant has a fetish about penises. But that's not why we're offering it. We're offering it to demonstrate that this defendant has a fetish about penises, and that's why he was leaving photo after photo after photo around, taking him home from his office, throwing them in his wife's face, with a notation on it that says, is mine as big as his? Or is his as big as mine?
Mr. Albee?
Oh, okay. Judge, this evidence is inadmissible under 90402. It's irrelevant. It's inadmissible under 90403 because it's unfair. Prejudice does substantially outweigh its probative value. It's also a waste of time. And is likely to cause juror confusion as to the issues. It also...
Would you agree that it makes more likely that the accused was the source of the photograph, whatever number it is, and the other photographs?
No, not...
It doesn't?
No, not at all, because those photographs, which the Pleasant Prairie Police Department, even though, as we saw today from the log, they received a bag of evidence, they talk about these photos, they don't have any of them. So we don't get to see them, or what, all we have is their recounting. Officer Cosman testified that the sex acts depicted in those photographs run the whole gamut of sex acts. They're not exclusively about oral sex, number one. They're not exclusively about penis size or anything like that. Male-female sex involves the penis, so the fact that these other pictures involve the penis and then later there's something involving the penis, if there's sex involved, that's not so unique that we draw the conclusion that, well, it must be the same person because both involve a penis. If it's sex, it's going to. I can't agree with the court that overall these things are so weird or memorable. I don't know that any of us know what's weird in this country. At least we don't talk about sex. We don't know what the sex lives of our friends are. They don't tell you.
No, please, Mr. Albee. No. I interrupted him too, and I'm going to interrupt you because, I'm not going to conduct this as an inquiry on how tolerant we can be of the sexual practices of others. Some things are really weird. I mean, the Dahmer case, this man, as I recollect, was killing people after engaging in...
This is the Dahmer case now?
No, I don't think that I've said that. The Dahmer case involved a man who was engaged in sexual activity with these other men and then was killing them and in some cases eating parts of their bodies. That's really weird. Now, maybe some people think that, pardon me?
I'm in agreement on that one.
Okay, and maybe some people think, well, it's just a sexual practice, and I understand that's really an extreme example, but there are some things which are so deviant. And I don't mean deviant in a moral sense, I mean deviant in what someone would encounter in everyday life, that they cause notice, and that was the point for which I admitted the testimony of the current Mrs. Jensen, because I thought that an ordinary person would think this very odd that someone would be inquiring about these types of things. Now, so I think it does have some relevance, but I'm struggling a little bit. Because the rule does say, and this has been reinforced in Wisconsin, that before the court has the right to bar the jury from considering this evidence, it must find that the prejudicial impact...
The unfair prejudicial
You're right.
effect.
Unfair, although I guess I skip that word always because I still don't understand the difference between fair prejudice and unfair prejudice. No, prejudice, pre-judgment. That's what it says. I don't want to argue. Let's not argue about that. He's right, though. The statute says the risk of unfair prejudice substantially outweighs the probative value, and that makes it a lot closer case. But now, I did interrupt you. Go ahead.
Well, and Judge, again, I don't know what falls under the weird category. Even things that other people would say, let's say, are unusual or aren't shared by the majority of the population. there are people who find each other that have similar interests. I don't know. I'm not saying that's this case. I don't know. But if people find each other who have the same interest that's not shared by the majority, then it's not necessarily unusual to them, notable, noteworthy, something they would ever make a note of. I do think it's relevant. I mean, the court's making it sound as though preoccupation with penis size is unusual. I do think
No.
I do think that emails that we get spammed with all the
Not worrying
time.
about one's own, asking about other people's and writing them down. I mean, there's the kinkiness in it.
Anyway, and so I'm if I could finish, Judge, I'm sorry. I mean, even getting past that, because I don't necessarily agree with the court that it is so unique. But these are found with daytimers and calendars from 2000 and 2001. They're seized in 2004.
We've been over this bridge
And
before.
well, Judge, I need to make a record on this, and they're seized much later, and all it does is, I don't know if I got to 90404 because I think it's inadmissible under that. I don't think there's a permissible purpose here. It's only being used to tarnish this man's character and to make him seem like a deviant. As the court has stressed several times, this might be viewed as deviant sexual practice, and he may be viewed as a deviant person, and some people uncomfortable with sexuality may draw that conclusion that deviant sexual interest on some level is the equivalent of somebody who's more likely to murder.
No,
I think this poses an intolerable risk of prejudice, unfair prejudice, lots of unfair prejudice. It has none or minimal relevance to the issues in this case, which is a homicide case, not some sexual case. There's no claim that the murder is sexual, and I think it not only violates the rules of evidence, but it also violates Mr. Jensen's due process right to a fair trial and needs to be excluded for that reason. And I'll say state and federal constitutional due process it violates. I also one additional thing. I have a motion in limine that the state not use the word torture, because under no circumstances does this involve torture. I think he means torment, but it's not torture, and I think that's an inflammatory word to use, and I ask that he be barred from using it.
Well, I'm not going to do that because there's such a thing as emotional torture, and I'm not suggesting that he do so. I'm just saying I don't think I ought to stand at the door and tell him he can't, and he'll have to justify what he says to the jury. You use the word deviant, and I do not think this is however weird I may think this conduct is, and however weird I may think that the jurors may think this conduct is, I don't think that anyone's going to think it's deviant. Deviant has a suggestion of harmful to others. This is more just what I think in everyday parlance would be referred to as kinky behavior. And deviant suggests somebody who preys upon others and does things that are, as I say, harmful to others. So I don't agree with the suggestion that there's anything about deviance being attributed to the accused. And that has a lot to do with the outcome of the ruling, because I would agree with you if this suggested some deviance by the defendant, it would be a much tougher case. But at this point in this trial, with all we've heard already, and I understand that piling on isn't allowed, but...
That's cumulative.
Well, I will say this, Mr. Jamboys, and I guess you're going to have to respond to this. The defendant already admitted writing on, as you have pointed out a moment ago, has admitted to writing on some of the photographs. We have a photograph here which has writing, although that the authorship of that writing is in question. But so what, he's acknowledged he's written on them. We have one that says mine is bigger than his.
I
don't think we have that.
Is his as big as mine, is I think what it was.
Well, whatever it was.
I don't think we have it. And that is, it would be nice to have the evidence in this case. I don't think we do. I think the court should also recall, I asked Officer Cosman if there's one single event that he can prove.
I know you did. I remember it. But I have to also acknowledge, Mr. Albee, I think I fairly state what your position in the case has been, as I detected through your presentation and examinations and in your argument, or your, your opening statement, is that you do not accept the defendant's responsibility for the long course of, as the district attorney calls it, torment or torture or whatever.
I said torture.
Well, anyway, and while that is still in contest in the case, I guess the district attorney can rightly present evidence to suggest that the accused is the author.
Well, the court is aware that I moved before trial and during trial to exclude all that evidence
And
as
I
well
excluded
because what's that?
And I excluded it.
No, the
Oh.
pre-1998
Well, that's motive.
harassment
And
evidence.
that's when you're 90404, and that's motive evidence. If it was the purpose of if the heart of the defendant was so filled with malice towards this woman that he would engage in the conduct which the district attorney claims he has engaged in, that would be something that the jury could properly take into consideration in determining whether or not, when he became romantically involved with someone else, he would seek her death.
Well, I'm just saying, I didn't think it should have been admitted on that, but I think then we have another layer, both of unfair prejudice and further removed from probative value to use post-1998 conduct to try to bootstrap the pre-1998 conduct, which is all tangential to the issues in this case. I just don't know how far afield you get to try to bolster the other act's evidence. Then you have this.
We don't know what's post-98 activity, number one. And number two, I don't want to say a fetish is forever, but I would think that most psychiatrists would tell us that if someone has these kind of thoughts, unless there's some intervening therapy or just developments in life or whatever, one would think that there may be a persistent problem with it. So I'm going to let the evidence.
Well, and just one last point, Judge.
Yeah.
As Detective Ratzburg has said, I mean, these photographs are of Mrs. Jensen. I mean, they're not created. They are whatever they are.
Actually, what do you mean they're of Mrs. Jensen?
Yeah, I don't recall that.
It's all over his reports, and I thought he had said that, but.
No, I thought he said that Mrs. Jensen handed him, I thought he said a sealed envelope that she said the defendant said contained pictures of her. And I thought that was what it was.
And Officer Cosman said they weren't pictures of her.
That's Officer Cosman.
He said they weren't, but he said that, as I understood it, she gave him a sealed envelope with pictures that she said the defendant said were of her.
Correct.
No, that's not it. He didn't know. I mean, he claimed not to know whether Mrs. Jensen had looked at him herself. But Detective Ratzburg, in numerous reports, says they're pictures of Mrs. Jensen. And that's what I said is Ratzburg, not Cosman.
You know, it's for the jury to decide. I'm not going to decide it. I recall what I recall, and perhaps the jurors recall something.
I just meant Ratzburg, not Cosman is my, I mean, I didn't start off trying to talk about Officer Cosman, but it's Ratzburg.
It's been a long trial. I'm going to admit the evidence, and your objection is noted. All right, upon a specific finding that the district attorney has established that this evidence is relevant on the questions of motive and on the questions of further, to a limited extent, further evidence on the subject of the impact that these descriptions would have had on a reasonable person in the position of Kelly Jensen, and further to prove that the disclosure was in 1998, and that the evidence is not substantially outweighed by the risk of unfair prejudice, so it'll be received.
And I do renew my motion for mistrial on the admission of all this kind of evidence.
Which will be denied. Anything else right now? Coming in.
Judge, is that exhibit 166 that you're admitting into evidence?
166 is that what we've been talking about, 166?
D166, Your Honor.
That will be, has it been offered?
I'll offer it in evidence right now. I
Has
have-
it been fully identified?
It has. This is what the detective was just going through. Let's put it this way, through page, bait stamp page 267. There's several more, but
It will be received.
The entire packet.
It'll be received, the entire packet. That's not a,
but it's been
since we
referenced.
haven't gone through all of it and it's a very lengthy document, I just want to not give my imprimatur to the entire document without, it's not been given to me for examination, and I don't want to take the time to do it right now. So if it gets into other areas, then I'll have to deal with that. But the whole document is received, it's just a question of what the jury will see. Go ahead.
Please be seated.
So Detective Ratzburg, getting back to Exhibit 166, these were the pages that you found when you executed a search warrant on the Cecil Nicholas office, correct?
Yes,
And you found these notes that where apparently Mark Jensen is taking notes about his conversation with Kelly Levante.
Objection to the leading or the characterization by Mr. Jamboys.
Start over.
Well, they're notes, correct?
correct.
And there are notes where there's discussion about penis size.
Yes,
For example, it says here, others are smaller. Something that was its biggest.
The
You are-
record should reflect that Mr. Jamboys is showing on the screen Exhibit 166, and that he's reading from the exhibit.
That would be a fair statement, Your Honor. And you are bigger. Then on what has been marked a bait stamp to 235 of Exhibit 166, there's a series of pictures of what appears to be vaginas and penises.
yes,
And the note up here is 2 mushroom shaped, correct?
correct.
And then down here, I'm longer head, greater length, shape for ease, easier entry versus blunt, correct?
Correct.
Different shape than all the others, something greatly, not greatly, but different group the other guys, but different group the other guys together, correct?
Correct.
Then on the very next page, so this would be the back of the page, bait stamp 235. There's a photograph or picture of a penis up here. It says nice curve, me, slender, nicely curved at end versus pointy, correct?
Correct.
Then underneath that, a group of apparent penises, of them, and the notes more pointy, more bigger, more straight up and down. Other guys have a knob at the head. It's like it gets stuck in your hand or your mouth.
Any request, by the way, for limitation on this?
To exclude it all and to limit, I didn't think, that's why I pointed out as being displayed. I didn't think this was, I don't know if the court wants me to object to each thing.
No, I'm talking about limitation for the jury.
Oh, not at this time. I don't, other than I think I'd propose, well, I don't have something, on this short notice, I don't have something to suggest that
Go ahead.
maybe at the end of the day.
Then on Exhibit 238, well here, we'll just do this instead of having the jury read it. I'll just bring it up to you so that you can see what I'm looking at. This is D166. Looking at exhibit page number 2, bait stamp 2, page 238. Reads, I'm a little bigger dick-wise, correct?
Correct.
Various descriptions of other penises follow. She's seen smaller ones, etc. Correct? Then there's descriptions of the individual persons, not so much about penis size, but a series of names, things like was good, she was 19, so forth.
Personal information about those individuals.
But it would be fair to say that these descriptions demonstrated a significant preoccupation with penis and penis size, correct?
Well, what difference does it make what his opinion is?
Well, I just didn't want to go through them all one by one, Your Honor.
It's leading, and the court is correct. Isn't in a position to make that kind of judgment.
So was there a ruling from the court, Your Honor? Is that?
I think that you've covered the subject.
Very well. I'd move D-166 into evidence subject to cross-examination.
I object, but it's already been admitted.
All right, go ahead.
Detective Ratzburg, on the evening of December 3rd, 1998, did you, I noticed that on the video there were some medicines displayed.
Yes.
Did you recover those medicines?
Yes.
Did you inventory them?
Yes.
Do you have the inventory sheet up there with you?
Yes, I do.
Could you pull it out, please? Well, let's do this. Do you have the medicines
do.
there? Do you have the
I do
medications
have it.
there?
I'm sorry?
Do you have the medications there?
Yes, I do.
And you have found the inventory of medications?
Yes, I did.
Request these be marked as an exhibit. Counsel, I'll show them to you first.
2 pages.
2 pages, and then I was just going to go through the Benadryl and the Paxil and so forth.
That's
Can you staple these together? So I show this item is marked as states Exhibit S257. I ask if you identify that.
This is an inventory of some of the medications that we recovered on December 3rd at the Jensen home.
Well, it's an inventory of some of the medications or all of the medications?
It's not all of them. The medical examiner,
Well, what ones are not on here?
medical examiner recovered the Ambien, and I think that is, top of my head, that is it.
Okay,
that one.
so everything but the Ambien was taken, was on this inventory sheet. And let's see, there is some reference to Benadryl in here, isn't there? Yeah, number 15, Benadryl allergy chewables. It's number 15, correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
And then number 23 is Benadryl allergy decongestant, correct?
Correct.
And just above that is Walgreens Wall-Fed cold formula, correct?
Correct.
Could you pull everything out of there that's got any Benadryl in it, if you can
I can.
find it?
Well, I think we'll stop at this point.
Okay.
And let's start at 8:55 tomorrow and drive safely on the way home. Now, a couple of things. Number one, it's absolutely imperative that you not speak with anyone about the case. That includes members of your household, members of your immediate family, not any discussion about the evidence, the impressions you may form. And just as I said before, if anyone approaches you, wants to discuss the case with you, just tell them I'm on the jury, I'm not allowed to talk about the case, and if we do, that's going to be a big problem. So don't have any discussion at all with anyone about the case. Don't read, watch, or listen to any media account of the trial, or be on any website, or have any outside inquiry about the case. You're going to hear everything you need to hear in this case, and everything will be fine. All right? Any question? Enjoy the evening.
Please all rise. Clear for the record.
I think Mr. Jamboy's made it clear, but the drawings in Exhibit 166 were displayed on the big screen for the jury. I think that adds to the prejudicial impact of the evidence. And as I said, I do renew my mistrial motion based on the presentation of that evidence in conjunction with the previous evidence and testimony from Kelly Labonte, and I think Mr. Jensen's been denied a fair trial as a result, and in violation of 904, 90402, 90403, and 90404.
All right. And the reasons that the evidence was admitted are in the record. So, and I apologize that I didn't ask about a cautionary instruction limiting the use of the evidence before we got started again, but as I indicated, I would have been willing to give one on the spot and remain willing to give one if requested regarding the use to which this evidence may be put. All right, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
And let me just finish that sentence. But I understand for strategic reasons that such an instruction may not be desired. So,
Well, in that short time frame, I would not be able to create an instruction that I would think was
well, none was
appropriate.
requested. None was requested, and I thought
And I don't think, because I don't think the pattern would fit the situation, so I wouldn't have had time to come up with one off the top of my head. But Judge, it seems pretty clear to me at this point that we will not get to the defense case tomorrow, and I just like leave if something surprising happened. I'd prefer just not to have any witnesses.
That's fair.
Here.
I would agree. After we're done with Detective Ratzburg, then the defense will be asking him questions, and then we expect to be putting Mr. Cook on the stand, and I anticipate my direct examination of Mr. Cook would take perhaps an hour and a half. And then after the cross and any redirect is done of Mr. Cook, that would be the state's intention to rest at that time, Your Honor.
okay.
And the record should reflect Mr. Jamboy's estimated his time with Detective Ratzburg after the video to be about 45 minutes. So.
Okay, I'm not great in this area. I'll concede my limitations.
All right. Anything else? We have one pending matter that I think we'll talk about.
Off the record?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.